Good afternoon, everyone, on this glorious afternoon. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and students at Emma Willard School, I extend a warm welcome. Class of 2022. We have gathered this afternoon to begin the formal celebrations of your accomplishments. This weekend marks a defining passage in your lives, and we are privileged to share it with you. Our own Madame Willard, with her bold vision to ensure that young women were given an education equal to that of young men, instituted the tradition of baccalaureate service at Troy Female Seminary in the early 1800s, holding the ceremony in downtown Troy. Just as all of the important traditions at Emma Willard have been gently shaped by the changing times and needs of the school, our baccalaureate service has been transformed as well. We have tenaciously clung to the baccalaureate service, though, yielding to our desire to create a time of reflection in the midst of an emotional weekend of leave-taking and celebration. This is the next to the last time that the senior class will gather with the spirit, energy, authenticity that this class is known for. In this moment, it is right and proper for us to offer words of wisdom for your journey ahead and gratitude for your contributions to your alma mater. Tomorrow will be filled with pomp and circumstance, but this ceremony is reserved for sentimental reflections and musical tributes for you, the class of 2022, from those who will dearly miss you. Will you please join me in a responsive reading? We gather to celebrate this moment with the class of 2022, whose accomplishments breathe life into a vision of excellence. We gather to celebrate the habits of intellectual life that have become our own during our time in this special place. We gather to celebrate the talents of these young students as they go forth to serve and shape the world in marvelous ways that we can only begin to imagine. We gather to celebrate the true friends who have made our journey possible, the faculty and advisors who have been our guides along the way, and the family members who have been our constant support. We gather to celebrate the dreams that have come true, the hopes made real, and the memories that define the Emma Willard experience. Thank you so much, choir. You always sound magnificent, but this year you sound better than ever. Thank you, Dr. Spiro Allen. I am delighted to introduce one of our wonderful students to offer a reflection. Welcome to Melisande Nabaget. Melisande Nabaget has been Vice President, Secretary of the Class of 2023 since her freshman year. In that time, she has brought warmth, energy, and focus to her leadership position. A spreadsheet wizard and an email pro, Melly is an exceptional organizer and communicator. She finds joy in collaborating with her fellow class officers to organize weekly class meetings and create impromptu opportunities for fun and connection. For Melly, the best part of being a class officer is being part of the behind-the-scenes work that goes into a class event. A coxswain on the crew team, Melly is also skilled at using her voice to inspire, direct, and motivate. She and her fellow class officers count on each other to do this, and together demonstrate how good leadership involves mutual support and connection. Melly is an enthusiastic learner and especially loves the sciences. She is a prime here at Emma and even formed a club called HOSA for Future Health Professionals. She's currently working on a signature project that involves work with Albany Med. There, she's taking her love for behind-the-scenes work to a whole new level by learning about scientific research in real-life setting. One thing that has surprised her about that work is just how much teamwork and cooperation is involved in achieving scientific progress. You can't write a research paper alone, she has realized. In a way, it's a lot like leadership. When she's not in school, on the water, or working on her signature project, Melly loves to bake. For her, it's therapeutic and a way to express her love for family and friends. Please join me in welcoming the Vice President of the Class of 2023, Melisande Nabaget.
When I stepped onto campus as a freshman in August of 2019, the gap between the freshman class and the sophomore class felt enormous. The sophomores already knew what each building was, where to hang out with their friends, and what happens at revels. And although the sophomore class of 2022 seemed to be extraordinarily more intelligent, experienced, and mature than the freshman class of 2023, I felt the sophomores take me and the other freshmen in with open arms. And as the years flew by, I felt the initially large gap between our classes begin to shrink. It shrank as we faced uncertainty together with every day that passed. The gap became relatively non-existent this February as our classes became forever intertwined at ring dinner, which, of course, was held in the gym, just another unprecedented circumstance to add to the list. However, as college decisions were released and you were forced to come to terms with the fact that your time here at Emma is coming to an end, I felt the relationship between our classes begin to shift. Just last week, 4 seniors came into our junior seminar to talk about the college application process. As Tess, Mika, Nikki, and Jenny stood coolly in front of our class, I couldn't help but feel like a freshman all over again. I thought to myself, these people know where they're going to college. At last, there is certainty in their futures. And so, at 12:45 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, it hit me that you, the seniors, are moving on to the next phase of your life, one that does not involve us. But of course, this is what you have been waiting for. You've been counting down the days to tomorrow's commencement since the fall. You are ready for this. And although it may be hard to say goodbye, rest assured that your impact on this school will not be forgotten. From the clubs you created to the artwork you produced, know that your legacy will not go unnoticed by the class of 2026 in the fall. You have left us big shoes to fill as the senior class, but you have also been with us every step of the way leading up to this moment. Class of 2022, you have taken Emma by storm, and it is time for you to do the same with the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Millie. It is now my honor to introduce our parent speaker. Welcome to Jannica van de Stad, Tess Johnstadt's mother. Ms. van de Stad is currently the chair of the Department of German and Russian at Williams College, where she has taught since 2001. She earned her BA in Russian and History from Amherst College and her PhD in Slavic languages from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Professor van de Stad teaches broadly in the Russian program from beginning language courses to seminars on Leo Tolstoy and contributes regularly to the program in comparative literature, where she offers courses on translation theory and practices as well comparative children's literature. Her publications include work on Leo Tolstoy, Isaac Babel, Guy de Maupassant, Isaac Dinesen, aka Karen Blixen, and Lewis Carroll. I have also had the pleasure of witnessing Jannica and Joe as parents to Tess, Quinn, and their dog Clarabelle with incredible wisdom, heart, patience, and encouragement. Jannica, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Jenny. Good afternoon, Emma Willard faculty and staff, my fellow parents, family and friends, and the one and only class of 2022. It is a genuine pleasure to look back at the last 4 years and to take a few moments to reminisce with you. Our collective memories may extend even farther back than the fall of 2018, when we first arrived on Mount Ida as prospective families and were greeted by the facades of Sage and Slocum, whose Gothic-style architecture and distinctive gargoyles often elicit comparisons with another memorable, if fictional, high school. It soon became clear to me, though, that what is practiced at Emma Willard is not magic, but a unique and real brand of alchemy, the sustained nurturing and tempering of precious human material, its students. I witnessed this in the classroom, on the sports field, and on stage. I saw it on the residential halls and in the countless traditions that shape the academic year, from morning reports to Emma-ween to revels and May Day. I recognized it in the challenging and intrepid programming that asks students to grapple with vital questions and conflicting points of view, and in the regular opportunities for social, political, and human engagement, both on and off campus. For me, and I suspect I'm not alone, the mere prospect of driving to campus has been a reason for giddiness. As a physical place, Emma already invites us in with its broad and hospitable front circle, while the social, intellectual, and playful space that swells from its foundations surrounds us right as we walk through the doors. Joe and I both teach, and we have regularly imagined how stimulating it must be to do so here. I have come to appreciate that Emma is cultivated and sustained by a great many people, and lately under profoundly exacting circumstances. It is the security officers who, besides keeping the community safe, helped me to plot a stealth birthday celebration, academic and class advisors, teachers, and coaches who balance patience with firmness, kindness with rigor. The grounds crew and custodial staff who are always ready to direct you when you're decidedly lost, and who keep things clean, beautiful, and operational both inside and out. The administrative and support staff, often working late and behind the scenes, who are instrumental to the myriad details of how the school runs. And then there are dining services, the health center, and the team of house parents who foster the physical and emotional well-being of the student body, even as individual needs shift, sometimes in significant ways. This is a remarkable network of people, and I have seen it stretched to its limits of late. Yet still, somehow able to yield. And let's not forget Emma's critical team of pet adjuncts who buoy everyone's spirit as they move through campus. I'm thinking of Otto, clad in his iconic striped pajamas, the excitable Lola, and chicken-fried Jurgi, all of whom dole out love indiscriminately and assist in the charge of making Emma a home away from home. Above all, what continues to define and redefine Emma, to shape and reshape its idiosyncrasies with each passing year, is, of course, you, its remarkable student body. I well recall move-in day that first fall, the proctors and wellies in eager attendance, positions many of you would eventually hold and discharge with equal dedication. And I also remember the ensuing ups and downs that come with transition, as well as the sparks, various and seemingly endless, ignited by you for and with one another. As classmates, roommates, members of the same advisee group, teammates, class officers, the morning reports team, and simply as friends and interlocutors, you have been vital to the Emma alchemy because you have negotiated and fine-tuned this space and your place within it from the get-go. Environments act on us, but we also affect them. Emma Willard is a more complex and richer society for what each of you, consciously or not, has brought to it. Imprinted in my memory is an audio message Joe and I received on the final Friday evening of December during our first Emma Fall. It was a heart-stopping cacophony, something between a crazed sugar high and the ecstatic celebration of a pre-concert beehive that exploded into our home. There were no distinguishable words. I don't think we had ever heard such an infectious blend of mirth, affection, and raw energy distilled into the joy we heard in your student voices that night. It was the perfect enactment of what to revel means, to rise up, have fun, and make noise. Now that we as parents finally got to experience this quintessential Emma event last December, I have a better grasp of the context for that joy, although I have been informed, and in no uncertain terms, that parents don't even get a fraction of the jokes or the references. Seems like par for the course. Many of us were also way off on our revelizations, which in our defense is no big surprise since we are kept in the dark by you guys for so long. But we were all delighted by the revelations when you appeared on stage. From beginning to end, revels were an absolute highlight of the year for me, but I think that you have been in the process of being alternately revelized and revealed since you first arrived on campus. Whatever notions others have about us, whatever assumptions they might make or conclusions they may draw, the fact is that as we interact, challenge one another, grow together, and sometimes apart, we're forever becoming and coming into a fuller version of ourselves. New and perhaps fundamentally different priorities, interests, and convictions will invite, even demand, our attention. Sometimes these revelations are about ourselves. Sometimes it is others who are more fully revealed to us. Especially in this regard, I hope that the spirit of revels will serve as a lifelong companion for you. As you prepare to set forth, you are taking more than knowledge, skills, and memories of Emma. You have acquired, I believe, a frame of mind, a particular disposition toward the world at large, toward learning, toward those around you. Each December, the Lord and Lady of the Manor request that the great folk come. And each June, the Emma Willard School and its ancillary community of parents and friends rejoice in letting some great folk go. This year, it's you. Go, jesters, make some noise.
Thank you so much, Yannicka, for those beautiful words. You understood and took Emma in so profoundly. It's as if you were an Emma student too. It is my pleasure now and distinct honor to introduce this afternoon's student speaker, Izzy Simon. Izzy's creative and thoughtful writing, reflection and interest in our environment and world make her a natural speaker, a troubleshooting problem solver who cares deeply about making a positive impact. Izzy has thrived at Emma Willard both in and out of the classroom. The rare student who can take both a leadership and supportive role. Izzy has been the co-editor of The Clock, written for her local newspaper, was the only student who worked on a local sustainability conference, and has been an integral member of Emma Genius. Someone is always calling for Izzy, a superwoman who can solve a myriad of problems. With a large, supported, extended family, Izzy's many strengths have been nurtured at home, through reading, and in nature. It is no surprise that Izzy, your classmates, have chosen you to speak on this special occasion. There you are. Thank you for your authenticity, thoughtfulness, and your interest in the world and the people around you. Izzy, please come on up.
Hi. Sorry. Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Izzy, and normally here's where I would say that I'm a senior, but I think that's pretty obvious in this instance. When I first sat down to write this speech, I had no idea what to write. I literally have a Google Doc still in my drive with the entire alphabet written 600 times because I simply had no other thoughts. Eventually, I found my way through my muddled ideas and began to focus on what got me through my last year of high school. I was instantly drawn back to a chilly fall day, the leaves just barely hanging onto their branches, the promise of apple cider donuts and 50-degree days so close you could taste it in the air. I vividly remember that the world was in disarray. I can't remember what had just happened, given all the things that have happened since, but I remember coming into Ms. Schmidt's classroom during Thursday's seminar block for a Hebrew lesson and feeling quite lost. She, being her wonderful self, sensed this and decided that we were going to do a song lesson, specifically studying the song Katana Lenu. This piece was composed by the Israeli singer Static during the height of the pandemic. Over the course of 3 days, some of the country's most famous pop stars and singers came together and created this masterpiece. The title directly translates to "It is small on us," but more loosely it means "Don't worry, we got this." After watching the music video the first time, I was hooked. I actually asked Ms. Schmidt to watch it 2 more times during class, and may or may not have gone home and watched it 5 more times on my own. This song gave me hope during a time I felt like the universe was out to get me. Soon it became a ritual. Every time something went wrong or I felt off, I found my way back to the deep bass, soft voice, and idyllic lyrics the song had to offer. Gradually, I would come out of my funk, and now I carry the lyrics with me wherever I go. What surprised me the most about my growing connection to this song was that it seemed to make life easier. The fact that 25 people across the world thought that this feeling of sorrow and confusion was present enough to make an entire song made me feel seen. Inspired by that feeling, a couple months ago, I stood in front of the student body and talked about my mental health through a works in progress speech. I gave that speech in hopes that people would stop seeing what is in front of them and look deeper. For instance, I may appear put together and on top of everything, but boy, am I not. In traditional fashion, for me, we've now entered the part of the speech where I make a great deal of fun of myself. This is not just to make you laugh, though I do hope it does make you laugh, but to show you that while I'm standing up here, almost done with high school, heading to an amazing college and reflecting on how awesome the last few years have been, surrounded by incredible people, there is so much you don't see. So much with which I have struggled, and so much that has pushed me down throughout the last 4 years, things that often go unmentioned in moments like these. To prove to you that no matter how your high school experience pans out, has no reflection of your capabilities, ingenuity, or uniqueness, I present to you Gadola Lenu, or roughly, very, very roughly translated as I really don't have this. Number 1, starting off strong, being asked to give the baccalaureate speech, having never been to a baccalaureate in my entire life. I gotta get through these without laughing. Number 2, the time Flossin introduced me to the tech crew as someone who really knew what I was doing, and 2 minutes later I fell off of a riser, and Rue almost had to get me an ice pack from the health center. When I studied number 3, when I studied numbers and age in Hebrew for almost an entire weekend, but when Ms. Schmidt asked me to translate the ages of the entire math department and those of the science department whom we could find, I made a complete fool out of myself. I may have accidentally told Mr. Ball he was 96. 4, when it took me 4 months to grow milkweed. That's the end of that one. Number 5, during Revels rehearsal, when I slipped and fell, and the Revels directors thought I was doing it on purpose, so they added it into the actual show. Number 6, when I got asked my freshman year to write my first ever article for the clock and accidentally deleted every single interview I recorded the day before the article was due. This is why you don't put off writing your articles, people. I'm not kidding in those emails. Number 7, oh, this one is, okay. In the chaos of juggling 3 clubs, which I seriously do not recommend, no college is worth it, I ended up sending an incredibly chaotic email to Jenny Rao instead of Jenny Wrong, and will be eternally embarrassed about that one. Number 8, when I bombed my first chem test sophomore year, and Miss LeBate told the class, yeah, this wasn't the best way to start the year, while staring dead into my soul. I should note that after class, she offered to give me some extra help, and I ended up loving both her and chemistry. Number 9, my freshman year when my shirt got caught on the foosball table in the student center, and I fell over and smashed my face into the wooden floor. Number 9.5 would probably have to be me having to explain to the health center why I had a giant bruise on my face. And number 10, oh boy, Mr. Callis, you gotta know where this one's going. The time when I went to turn the lights on in my lab, flipped the switch, and the entire light fixture exploded and began to smoke. It was 8 in the morning. The runner-up for this one was when half the science department came running down after I emailed Mr. Callis about what happened and asked, "You did what with fire?" And I almost peed my pants. I was so scared. These are only 10 things that I have experienced, but imagine the many others I had to cut living nearly 18 years on this planet. What I've learned from these experiences is that life is not about right or wrong or good or bad, and it certainly never goes according to plan. But it's about doing the best you can with what you have. I don't know much, but I can tell you for certain that that mantra applies to every single student graduating this year. Class of 2022, we've been through more than our fair share of ups and downs, but we came back each time fighting harder than ever. We are a class of dreamers and thinkers, marine scientists and historians, athletes and artists, but even though I pair these things together, eliciting the intent that they are opposite in their nature, they are not. Athletes use math to plan out plays, artists use science to create their work, scientists use history to understand past equations and theories, and on the list goes. Most people don't understand that. They live their lives by dividing what they believe should be separate, but not us. We will break down those barriers. I mean, look at how much we've changed at this school already. That mentality is deeply ingrained in every one of us. It has been since birth. Emma has only bolstered it. So while you guys go off and create the change I know you all will, don't lose sight of that fire inside of you, because the world will be a much better place if you let it loose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Izzy, for always reminding us to look deeper and be who we really are. Thank you. Ecologists tell us that forests, rather than simply a collection of individual trees, in fact act as complex communities, sharing resources, information, and even memories. Within these forest communities, we have learned in recent years that there are individual trees that serve a particular role in guiding and caring for their communities. These trees, affectionately known as mother trees, are ancient and enormous trees that act as the glue that holds the forest together. They help build resilience in the forest and build the foundation for forest communities to recover from disturbances. In the community of Emma Willard School, Dr. Katie Holt is our mother tree. Her formidable intellectual and pedagogical capacity creates the fertile ecosystem needed for academic discourse and builds in her students an intellectual resilience and an ability to think and reason that allows them to grow and flourish. Dr. Holt's roots spread wide across the community, from the classroom to the soccer field to the yearbook and to the dormitory. She serves in all roles as a guide, supporting her students through challenges and sharing generously in the joy and pride of their accomplishments. For the class of 2022, who have been lucky enough to stand beside Dr. Holt over the past 4 years, she has been a stabilizing force through a destabilizing time. Deeply rooted, gently guiding, and sparking curiosity, Dr. Holt embodies the habits of an intellectual life and has inspired her students to want to serve and shape their worlds. Please join me in welcoming an exceptional educator and our mother tree, Dr. Katie Holt.
Thank you. All right. As some of you all know, I'm a crier, so we're in trouble if I'm crying. We're in trouble if I'm crying before I even start. But okay, all right. I gotta pull myself together. Okay, I did bring a little did bring a little tissue. Okay, so thank you for that introduction, and thank you also to the senior class for granting me the huge honor of being your faculty speaker. I would be delighted to send any class off into the world, but as I hope today's speech makes clear, I'm especially pleased to be speaking to you, the class of 2022, because I feel a particularly deep connection to you. In part, this is because I've been here the same amount of time as most of you. Like the diehards who are graduating tomorrow, I arrived at Emma in the fall of 2018 and can thus be considered a 21-22 senior. But the bond I feel with you all is greater than just one of overlapping timelines. Because I didn't just inhabit this campus for the same amount of time as you, shuttling along in a parallel track. I went through these 4 years with you, teaching at least some of you at every grade level. By my count, I taught 59 out of 93 of you at some point in your Emma Willard careers in grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. And if you add in Democracy Matters, long read book clubs, Gargoyle, and Contact in the Dorms, while I've been a dorm affiliate in Cluett and Kellis Too Long and Short, I've worked with nearly all of you somewhere in this place. What I want you to know is that while you all were here, weathering the pain and painful adaptations brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the more traditional frustrations and joys of teenage life, as you were growing into the adults who sit before me today, you were not only transforming yourselves, you were also transforming others. Your parents, your siblings, your younger classmates, and many of the adults who work here, including, most definitely, me. How have we changed then, together? Think back, if you will, to August 28th, 2018. You were all beginning 9th grade. Many of you were beginning high school here at Emma Willard. It was a Tuesday. It was very hot and sunny in Troy. I imagine some of you were nervous and trepidatious, that others of you were excited and confident you would soon rule the school. that still others just wanted to get into the painting studio or the physics lab or the library and do your thing, to just keep swimming, as Ms. Rao put it memorably in early speeches to you and your families. The letters you wrote to yourselves upon your arrival at Emma, which you just opened on Thursday night at senior retreat, they most likely better capture your own particular emotions on entering this community better than I ever could. So you know how you were feeling. For my part, I can tell you that I was uneasy. The day I first walked into a classroom with any of you, I was 38 years old and chronically underslept, as I was still a relatively new parent. My children were then 1 and 4. My family and I had just moved to Troy, and I was in the process of settling into a rented home, finding new doctors and childcare providers, and trying to piece together a support network, since my husband and I were transplants with no family in the immediate vicinity. More relevant to you all, I was just beginning a transformation from academic to teacher. As some of you may know, the year right before I came to Emma, I had taught a small 9th and 10th grade world history class 3 days a week in Saugerties, New York, an hour south of here. But that was the only high school teaching I had ever done, and that had been as a very part-time adjunct. From the age of 26, when I entered my PhD program, to 38, when I officially left academia, I spent most of my professional time researching Russian and South Slavic literatures in their historical context, and talking to adults. My previous teaching had generally been at the undergraduate or graduate level, where I would enter the classroom, engage with students about a specific Russian novel or poem or grammar point for a maximum of 2 hours, and return to my shelter of a private office without sharing much of myself. I had never had advisees, never led a club, never coached a sport, never eaten a meal with a student, never been trusted to shepherd someone through a difficult moment in their life. So as you all were feeling your way about transitioning into high school back on August 28th, 2018, I was feeling nervous, worried, and hot. In our various emotional and physical states, at 2:30 p.m. on that day, some of us met one another as we walked into the un-air-conditioned Slocum 223 for the first class meeting of classical Mediterranean history. I came in with my new computer, my Xerox syllabi, wearing a navy blue sleeveless dress, trying to present myself confidently, and there I encountered freshman year versions of Amber, Mika, Tess, Zoe, Helena, Carolina, Tina, Jenny, and Martha. All seated around the oval Harkness table that used to be in that room, along with a few students who have since departed Emma. I'm pretty sure it showed that I was nervous. You can ask them afterward, but I'm certain I paced around my new students, lectured them a bit, sweated on them, more than I would have liked. Chances are my face was unduly red. We got through the first class meeting okay, though I'm not sure it reassured any of us. And those dear classical med students survived having me as a teacher that fall as I progressed through a particularly steep learning curve. They took notes on Spielvogel, offered up thoughts in the discussion questions in class, wrote essays on whether Athens was truly democratic and why Augustus ruled as he did. They also laughed infectiously, held hands, developed inside jokes, dressed up for Halloween, started talking in class when they hadn't before, and brought more expressions of joy and concern for others to the classroom than I had previously been trained to expect. The day I will most remember from that classical Mediterranean history course, besides the first one in which I sweated on you all, was one in October when several students in the group asked me how I was doing, when I looked especially exhausted, be it from kid care or grading or preparing for all new classes in 2 departments. In answering them, I found myself admitting that honestly it was really hard to do what I was doing, that I was struggling to prepare for every class, make every meeting, and get everything graded in a timely fashion, and still do everything else I needed to do to take care of my family. My classical med students watched out for me, and it was something I'd never experienced from students. I hope I reciprocally provided as much care to them as they did to me. Our changes didn't stop there, of course, dear class of 2022. Oh no, we continued to change through the spring of 2019 when I taught a different group of U East Asian history, and over the first semester of the 2019-2020 school year, when I had many of you for English too. And when the pandemic first reached into Slocum 223 and Slocum 221, where I was discussing George Orwell's 1984 with two groups of you. We changed as we got pushed away from one another and into isolation, as we were left to interact only on my Emma and through recorded Flipgrid videos responding to 12th night. Yeah, we don't need to remember those besides, we can forget them after this day, but we continued to change as we lost loved ones or feared we would, as we experienced intense loneliness, isolation, fear, and exhaustion. We changed too as we spent increased time with our immediate family, took more walks, found new ways to connect with our friends at a distance. We changed yet more as you became juniors and I taught many of you U.S. history. We changed as many of us re-entered the classroom fearful because we were not yet vaccinated, as we all dealt with owl cameras and high-flex learning and rows of desks in a line, windows always open a crack. We changed in the spring of 2021 as we were able to re-engage with the social world more, play sports again, dance with others, attend May Day and Apollo. And we changed again this academic year as you all became the leaders of the school. And I got to talk to many of you about nature writing and environmental justice, as well as African American history and literature. And we returned to eating together, to holding hands, to giggling in classrooms again, to attending live plays and concerts and morning reports together. Even as we remained affected physically and emotionally by the rolling COVID diagnoses, the interruptions to class communities, and record national levels of anxiety. So where are we now, you and I, 4 years after many of us started here? You know better than I do how you have changed since you were the person who wrote the letter you opened on Thursday night. For my part, I know I'm different from the Russianists who started working here, that I'm more comfortable, if still awkward, listening actively when someone is struggling, holding students accountable for their behavior, providing care as an educator, teaching in deep relation not only to my subject, my academic subject, but also to my students. And that is in good part from having encountered you all. Your kindness, your determination, your rebellion, your trust, your thoughts on the allegory of the cave, Jane Eyre, the Reconstruction era, Henry David Thoreau's Walden, Claudia Rankine's Citizen, the fragility of democracy, and the best way to make a yearbook, among many other things. I am different for having had the privilege of hearing your occasional papers, your podcasts, your poetry, and screencasts. I'm hesitant to say that I'm necessarily better, for I don't believe that is necessarily how change works. Nor am I done becoming a teacher. But I'm grateful for the growth I've undergone with you all. By way of closing, I want to offer some final thoughts on the changes that might come your way after you leave this campus, because I think there will be a lot of them. I know I have undergone repeated moltings since I graduated high school, in addition to the one I have recounted here about becoming a teacher. And as much as I love the written word, and I do, many of the most important changes I have undergone have been prompted not by interactions with texts, but by interactions with others. The will to change begins in the body, not in the mind, as Adrienne Rich wrote in a 1969 poem called Tear Gas. Will or no will, it seems the body is where change often really begins. For instance, I changed through grief when my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I moved home to take care of her for a year. I changed when I fell in love with the person who would become my husband and life partner, Rafe. I changed when we had our children, Holt and Max, and the care they needed reordered my life. I changed when I waited tables for a year and did physical labor every day. When my husband and I lived the lives of rootless expatriate academics in Scotland. When I spent time in a prison teaching incarcerated students. I have changed through the emotional challenges, I have changed through the emotional challenges of discussing the climate crisis and racial injustice with students. I will continue to change as my children get older, I am sure. And more beings in our world experience displacement and ill health from climate change. And as this country, where I've tried to embrace my citizenship much more in recent years, evolves, for good or bad. Change comes to all of us. Some change is beautiful and liberating, is healing and necessary. Some change is horrifying, tragic, and harmful. Some change we don't know what to make of. Is this something we should resist, celebrate, tolerate, refuse, incentivize? My hope for you all first is that you do not become allergic to change, in the words of the legendary computer scientist Grace Hopper, who thought most people were too attached to the way things had, quote, always been done. Famously, she kept a clock near her that ran backwards to remind her to use her imagination and realize things could be different. I like to remember Grace Hopper when I think of the possibilities open to us for mitigating the effects of climate crisis and bending the arc of history toward justice. But if I hope you avoid becoming allergic to change, I also hope you avoid developing a knee-jerk reaction assuming change is good. Instead, I hope you reflect on it as it comes, knowing that you are involved as a body in this world in a reciprocal relation to others. In the parable of the sower, Octavia Butler's protagonist devises a religion, the central tenet of which, all that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. I hope you carry Butler's words with you, as well as a sense of reciprocity as you leave here, acknowledging your power to remake things, an openness to being remade, and a sense of responsibility to others. Good luck, class of 2022, with your changes, and please come back and report on them. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Dr. Holt, for sharing more of who you are with such vulnerability and courage, and always sharing such generously of your heart and mind with everyone at Emma Willard. We're the better for it. Thank you. As the class of 2022 departs this baccalaureate service, let me share the lyrics of a Celtic song, The Soft Goodbye. They have been tailored just a little bit for this special occasion. When the light begins to fade and shadows fall across the sea, one bright star in the evening sky, our love's light leads you on your way. Yours are dreams that will not sleep, burning hopes that will not die. So you must go now with the wind and leave us waiting on the tide. It is time to fly. It is time to touch the sky. You are not alone. You must not cry. A song, a star burning bright, may those carry you through the darkest night. Rain comes over the gray hills, and on the air, a soft goodbye. Hear the song that we sing to you when the time has come to fly. When you leave and take the wind and find the land that holds destiny, the brightest star in the evening sky will be your Mount Ida memory. Yours is the world. This concludes our baccalaureate ceremony. Congratulations, class of 2022.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we invite you to Kellis Garden for the presentation and dedication of senior bricks. Thank you.